changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more, no more complaining. People, their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more, no more.
Today we're going to be talking about the importance of sleep. I wanted to remind you as well as me of the importance of sleep, of uninterrupted sleep, of the things that we can put up with, which are taking away from our sleep, the purpose of sleep. There have been so many studies done on sleep and the importance of sleep and the importance of REM sleep. I just wanted to remind you of the importance of sleep. And first and foremost, what is sleep about? In the description for today's JumpStart, I mentioned that when I was in high school, senior, I was taking a psych class, and I asked the teacher exactly what is sleep. And he responded that it was the unconscious passing out of the human body due to exhaustion. And it sounded, and I use this $20 word in the description, it sounded so sagacious, it sounded so wise, but it's absolutely not true. Sleep is something that we need to go into, and it is not there because of our physical bodies so much resting. As we know, our physical bodies move, I think, approximately every 7 minutes while we're sleeping. It's to basically, the analogy I like to use is think of an etch-a-sketch, and all day long you've got this blank etch-a-sketch. Somebody hands you an etch-a-sketch in the morning, and you know what an etch-a-sketch is with the knobs. Someone hands you an etch-a-sketch, and throughout the day, you're making little scribbles, you're adding little lines, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this, you're doing this, until it's kind of like it all messed up. You've seen walls covered in graffiti, right? Well, tomorrow morning, you've got a full day of things you need to add to your etch-a-sketch. So what do you need to do? You need to shake the etch-a-sketch. Interesting thing about etch-a-sketches, we think that when we use the etch-a-sketch, a lot of people, I thought this myself, that when you use the etch-a-sketch, you are drawing on the etch-a-sketch using some sort of little stylus inside. Well, that's half right. You're not actually drawing. What you're doing is you're erasing. An etch-a-sketch, actually, when you shake it up, you're not shaking the stuff off of the etch-a-sketch. You're shaking it back on to fill in the holes. When we sleep, our mind needs to basically shake up and to fill in all of the holes that we've made during the day, and to move things that have happened during the day to long-term memory. That movie In and Out, Inside Out. There's In and Out and there's Inside Out. Yeah, it's Inside Out. The Pixar movie is so wonderful when they talk about the idea of putting memories into long-term memories experience. That's pretty much what sleep is. Now, the thing is, when our etch-a-sketch is being shaken, it's not a quick thing while we're sleeping. It's the analogy that I heard one time from a behavioral psychologist or psychiatrist was that it's almost like a brook, and it's running down these rocks slowly, and it's filling things in, and it's taking things away. We all know the importance of sleep, and yet we don't treat it with the importance that it deserves. And there are a number of things that we can do to make sure that we sleep better. One of the things that is so amazing is how photosynthetic, how our eyes and our brains are so connected to light. And when we get up in the middle of the night and check our phone, it tells our brain to wake up. If you get up in the morning and check your phone. I remember when I was living in Lake Wacomas, Missouri, and we had these floor-to-ceiling 18-foot windows, and it was just beautiful overlooking the lake. And for the first year and a half we lived there, we didn't have, we had no curtains, no drapes, no nothing, because we just wanted to drink in the beauty of nature. And at night, there would be lights from the neighbors' homes outside that would reflect off of the lake and would then come into our bedroom window, but not a lot, not a heck of a lot, we didn't think. And we noticed over time that we were not feeling as well. And it took us about 18 months. And finally, I took about 3 weekends and put up these completely blackening curtains so that we could close them when we slept. And I read this thing on sleep and the importance of sleep. And it talked about how even when our eyes are closed, that light gets in. And so we made sure that our phones were turned upside down if they had a green light on or whatever when they were charging. And we even went so far as to cover our alarm clocks or turn them away while we slept. And truly, it was amazing. Nothing shy of 100% amazing. Because that sleeping through the night interrupted. I think what happens is that we may hear a sound, just a little sound, a creak, a crack, a neighbor doing something in the middle of the night that might sort of start to wake us up. But if our eyes are already experiencing more light than our ancestors, which what they would have experienced would have been, if they were under the stars, starlight, which can be bright with no ambient stars, but more likely under some sort of shelter where it was dark. It was dark. So we're used to sleeping in the dark. So one of the things I want to encourage you to do is before you go to sleep tonight, look around your room and look for sources of light and see what you can do to remove them. The other option, of course, is to get a sleep mask. I discovered I was carrying a sleep mask whenever I traveled on planes. Don't usually have to worry about them in hotel rooms because hotel rooms have blackout curtains typically. But when I'm flying on a plane, what I discovered was I never used my sleep mask, but I still wanted it dark. So I take my glasses off, fold them up, put them inside my shirt like this, and then I have a ball cap and I pull it completely down over my eyes to get rid of the light in the cabin of the plane. And it works. So that's one of the really, really important things we need to do is to make sure that we have a dark space when we sleep. And I hope I shouldn't have to say this, but a quiet or a neutral sound space. Many, many times I've been asleep, and if the television were on, if I accidentally left the TV on. Have you done this? I'm sure you have. Yeah, like I can remember one time falling asleep as a kid, and I think I was watching Bewitched. How's that? That tells you how old I am. And the show was going on in my mind while I was sleeping, and at some points I experienced myself as a character in the show. Well, my older brother, who has since passed, used to sleep with CNN at the foot of his bed blaring. My dad always slept with the television blaring. That is not going to work. A neutral soundscape is great. I have a fountain in my bedroom, and it's hooked to my Amazon device. I won't say her name, and I simply say, Amazon device, turn on my Will's fountain, and it does. And so I have this babbling brook sound while I'm sleeping. I'm focusing on all of this because you should do some research to see if you can just increase your quality of sleep 10%, 15%. It's amazing what the rest of your day is like. Your emotional response to things is so much better. Your breathing is so much better. You tend to make better diet choices. I know that when I was an overnight radio announcer and I would go to work, I would be on the air from midnight to 6, but I didn't usually sleep enough before I went, et cetera, and I'd get off and I would be sleep deprived and tired. And all I wanted was carbs and pancakes. And I'd eat this huge breakfast and go to sleep. And I still find to this day, if I'm traveling around the country and I'm bouncing around time zones, which is common, that I tend not to eat as well because I'm not sleeping as well. Sleep is not a luxury. It's not a reward at the end of the day. It is a critical bodily function that we need to treat with a lot more respect. And we need to even plan and prepare. Russell Brunson, who I have shared with you before, wrote the .com secrets books, expert secrets books, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, was at one of these conferences for basically 100 millionaires. And it was groups of people who got together to share ideas and camaraderie, et cetera, in the very, very financially elite. And there was one man there who was a self-made billionaire in his 40s. The guy was a triathlete, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, if you look up everything we think, most of us, success is, he even has a great head of hair. You look up everything we think, he's got it all. And yet what Russell Brunson said was, because they wanted to build connections and friendships and intimacy. And so they made these guys actually stay in hotel rooms together, share rooms, even though these guys could have bought the hotel chains that own the hotel rooms. And he said that this guy was fanatical about his sleep. The guy had a sleep mask. He had a ritual. No phones, no screens within 30 minutes is what I've heard of going to sleep. Most people fall asleep with the TV on, myself included sometimes. What I'm working to do is if I feel myself starting to fall asleep, TV goes off. And ideally, TV should go off before. So maybe establish that as a ritual. If there are things you do before you go to sleep, put turning off the TV earlier in the evening an idea. Give it a try. Simply want to get you to treat your sleep with the reverence it deserves. I struggle sometimes with waking up during the night. Last night was that way. If I've got something on my mind. And so one of the things that you can do is if you tend to wake up in the middle of the night, is to have an affirmation that you can say to put yourself back to sleep. Something that comforts you. I am safe and secure. I am comfortable in my life. God has got this. Whatever is upsetting you, just keep saying, I give this to God. God has got this. Whatever your vision of God is, the supernatural, I release this to a higher power, whatever. Because when we wake up in the middle of the night, our ego jumps in. It's not us that wakes up. It's our ego that wakes up. And it wants to toy with all of our problems and insecurities. So having an affirmation, I am calm, I am confident, I am comfortable in my own skin. Or thinking about something that's coming up and you're concerned about this, I have handled everything this far. I will handle this as well. Do you hear what I'm saying? You want to have some sort of a positive affirmation that is going to blow back that ego when it wakes you up in the middle of the night. Because the ego says, well, we just have to work out this, or we just have to think about this, but then there's more, and then there's more, and then there's more. So give your sleep the consideration it deserves, and notice how much your life improves every single day, starting today. And let's give everybody a chance to check in. Let's see what everybody has to say. I see a lot of comments here. This is awesome. Everybody let us know where you are and what you are grateful for. And let's share this positive experience with other people. Let other people know they need to sleep well. Can you imagine if everybody got a good night's sleep? If that was just something that was taught as kids, as adults, but it's not modeled. My dad fell asleep with a beer in his lap on the couch. I tend to fall asleep with a glass of wine on the table, on the couch, or whatever. And I know, and I'm not saying that I don't do this. I'm saying that I do this more often than not. And that is get up, prepare, and don't watch TV for that last half hour. Read. Try reading. How about that?
No more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying